book.
Okay, where's my phone? Hey, you can have a seat either in here or out there on the chair. Okay? I didn't forget you. What you say? Oh no, that's okay. The 3 I's for eliminating.
You said chronic stress, right?
Yes, Lord.
Okay, we gonna talk about
You know, because sometimes we just function. We just go.
Look, I'm trying to tell you.
Because,
Yeah.
Yeah. On staff at USA and WKZO Radio.
All right. Battle Creek, Kalamazoo, we're back. And we just ended a robust conversation with Milton and Marla Yarbrough talking about the topic was married with kidneys and living with that, supporting in that. One has a diagnosis, but the family is affected and working and triumphing through the process. And one more time, just shout out, kudos and congratulations to them for being honest, for being transparent, and answering to the best of their experience, if you will, the ins and outs and the implications that, kidney failure would have on an individual and how it affects us. And yes, there is a commitment to self, or there should be a commitment to self, and making sure we do take care of ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually, and as holistically as we possibly can, or bring someone else in to make sure that we are on track, to make sure we're okay, we're fueled, refueled, and energized to be able to assist and help others through the process, particularly our loved ones, and empower our communities abroad, our communities of friends, co-workers, and the like, okay? So, without further ado, we're definitely going to kind of keep this rolling. It somewhat is a soft segue into our next topic of discussion, and that is the 3 I's of chronic stress, y'all.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
Guess what? How are we going to eliminate the chronic stress? Well, we have our own Speak on It Touch Doctor.
Hey.
We have Dr. Leatrice Brooks.
Yes.
Back in the studio to help us out. We're going to eliminate some stress, but sometimes we live under what's called chronic stress. And we're just basically coping and existing, doing because it's a checklist in front of us and we know it has to get done. And sometimes some of us don't even realize we are in or dealing with stress because we're go, go, go. And we live under this expectation that we have to be there and do and do and do for others, but we constantly undo for ourselves, if you will. So we're going to get in the conversation with Dr. Leatrice. Hey, y'all, with Dr. Leatrice Brooks, and we're going to talk about this once again. As always, she's going to keep it real, and we're going to keep it real. So definitely get those note-taking devices out, because this is something we can use and apply today. All right? Without further ado, I'm going to say it again. I mean it this time. Dr. Leatrice Brooks, everybody.
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
I am good. I'm
good?
doing.
That was a little
good
hesitating.
Afternoon.
I heard that hesitation.
You heard that?
I did.
I'm trying.
You trying?
Yes.
Okay. So we are talking about eliminating chronic stress. And, when I threw the word in there about eliminating chronic stress, I was like, yeah, we probably going to get some pushback on that, because reality is sometimes we feel like stress is just inevitable.
Right.
And it is, but it doesn't have to be chronic.
Thank you.
And so that's the key, is at what point has my stress level become chronic and I'm just functioning as if this is the way that I'm supposed to live life? And so then I'm excusing things away, and I'm not recognizing that my mind is breaking down, my body is breaking down, and something is actually happening. I just say, oh, okay, well, this is what it is. You know, I've had people in my office before where I was like, they had a particular issue that, like, someone had anxiety, and I said, okay, you know what, how about we, like, work through this anxiety and get to the root of the issue so you don't have to deal with anxiety. And they straight out told me, like, no, I'm good. Like, just get me through this right here, and I'll keep taking the meds, and I'll be okay. And I was like, wow, we don't have to live like that.
No.
But sometimes we do.
And sometimes being in that way, chronic stress,
Yes.
not realizing what that is,
Yes.
we think, okay, we'll just pop a pill and keep it moving.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
we'll talk right now
Yeah.
and then go right back to what we were doing and not changing anything.
Exactly. We normalize it, and we just say,
Yeah.
yep, I got migraines, and that's it. Right? Go to the doctor, get some meds, and keep it moving. Or I have back pain, and so, yep, I take Tylenol every day.
Talk about it.
And I'm just going to keep rolling and call it a day. You know, one of the things that happened to me this week was I woke up one morning, and I was like, she would want to talk about chronic stress this week, right?
So it was
now,
on
it's
point.
it's not chronic, but here's what happened. So
Okay.
I woke up, and I was like, Lord Jesus, what is going on with my neck and my back today? And so I got up, and I went to the chiropractor, and then he was like, okay, this was on Wednesday, and he was like, FYI, I'm not in the office on Friday, so if you need to come back tomorrow, go ahead and come back. So then Thursday, I got up, and I was checking on myself, like, throughout the night, and I was like, oh, I'm good. And then, like, 15 minutes before I was supposed to get up, bam, it hit me. And I was like, well, what is that? So I'm talking to my mom, and she was like, yeah, you're probably stressed. And I was like, no, I'm good. And so then I got out the car, went in the chiropractor's office, and I'm talking to him, and he was like, yeah, you're probably stressed. And I was like, oh. But we ignore those signs because
Yes,
check
we
this
do.
out. I know that when my neck is acting up, it's because I'm stressed. And it's because I've hit a level of stress that I should not be at. But I ignored the sign.
That's good.
I was just like, oh, no, we just go to the chiropractor, get an adjustment, and I'll be good. And I wasn't. Because I took some leave, and I was still messed up. And I was like, this is terrible.
Yes.
This is terrible.
I'll raise my hand.
But we can deal with that.
Yeah. Definitely.
We can deal with it. So we have to know that there's a problem and recognize there's a problem and then be committed to doing something about it, because we don't have to live like that. And reality is it does show up physically.
True.
For us. It does show up physically. And so some of the physical problems that we have are really because of the stress that we have that we're not dealing with. We just keep piling things on. And so your brain never has a chance to adjust. Your emotions never have a chance to unwind or unload or anything. We just keep piling things on top because, right, there's a thing called Superwoman syndrome.
Come on.
Right? Superman syndrome.
Yes.
I'm going to save everybody from everything.
Yeah.
I got to be everybody's go-to person, but I'm not going to anything about myself.
That's real.
I'm showing up for everybody in life other than me.
That's
But
real.
at the end of the day, I'm really the only person I have control over.
Exactly.
And maybe we need to allow some other
And
people
that's
to...
a hard pill to swallow, though, sometimes, when you have that individual who is expected to and who is looked to be that one to fill in the gaps.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There's a word for that.
Uh-huh.
And most of my clients know it.
Let us have it.
It's called boundaries.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? There's a whole book about boundaries. It's called boundaries.
Yeah.
Right?
You're
So
right.
it's really about, I need to assess myself and where I am and make a decision about whether or not I'm able to give to you. Because reality is, if I allow you to zap everything out of me, I have nothing. Meanwhile, you good and you over there living your life because I done refueled you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because don't you be mad. You over here exhausted and they kicking it. She busting up laughing, y'all. They kicking it. And you like, what is going on right now? I don't understand. Look, y'all got to see her. She is she is busting up because you know that's reality. You know it's reality. You know it's reality. Because we give and we give and we give and we give. And then guess what happened? We also become resentful to people. Because we're like, why do you keep taking?
Okay.
Explain your laughing. What's going on in your mind?
I lost it because you are all up in my house right now. Let's just get to the eliminating. You are all in my house. That hit me right here.
See,
I'm going to ask you not to do that no more.
Well,
No,
I'm
just
sorry.
kidding.
Just,
I'm
you know it
kidding.
comes
I'm
with the territory.
Yes.
That's just what happens. Because I know how this stuff works. I know how it shows up.
Yeah.
Right. So here's something I'm going to give you, right? I'm going to give you permission to do this because I give my clients permission to do this. Tell them I said,
Okay.
Did you see it? They do. People blame me all the time, right? I'm like, okay, I can take a hit for it. I'll take the hit for it, right?
All right.
So my clients are like, you know, Dr. Brooks, Dr. Leatrice said that I got to have boundaries. So I'm not able to do whatever it is that you asking me to do. And that's cool.
I got to get
That's
together.
cool.
Yes, that's right.
That's fine. Because reality is sometimes it is difficult for us to do it on our own. And we need some, right? It's kind of like when you were a kid. What do you say? My mama said, I can't go to your house no more. Because you don't want to let your friend down, right? You
Put it on somebody else.
You do.
Yes.
And it's okay.
It is.
It's okay.
It is.
And then until you build up enough courage to be able to just say, no, right. No, I can't.
Indeed.
And it doesn't mean anything less about you because you said no. Because sometimes we incorporate that into our own identity and we start to say, well, what does that mean about me as a person and I should be able to handle this? No, you should not.
Mm-hmm.
You're a person.
You're right.
You shouldn't be able to handle it. It makes sense. So sometimes people come into my office and they're talking about how they're falling apart and then they're telling me about what's going on. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. You should be falling apart right about now.
It's okay. You're human. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to pay attention to what the signs are because really when we're trying to do all of these things, it's an illusion of control.
Okay.
It's an illusion of control over all of these situations that are coming up. It's the illusion of control that I can actually do something about this. When reality is sometimes you can't. It just is what it is, which every time I say that phrase, I think about my sister because she used to say it all the time when I was younger and I used to hate it. I'm like, stop with the it just is what it is. But it is sometimes.
It was a movement. It is what it is.
It just is. It just is. And so we really have to pay attention to what our physiological symptoms are. We have to pay attention to what our psychological symptoms are as well. Because a lot of times we think about anxiety and depression and insomnia can be an indicator that I have stress issues. I'm oversleeping. That can be an indicator. And we also have to recognize that it is okay to feel.
Yes. Indeed,
it's okay to feel because we turn off our emotions and then we just keep going, right? Yeah. We talk about manning up.
Indeed.
But that, I mean, really, man up. Woman, I say man up to women, right? Man, like, no. That's not effective. It's not effective. Not if you're physically breaking down. That's so true. We can't just barrel through life. Mm-hmm. So we got 3 eyes. We got 3 eyes to eliminating chronic stress because you can eliminate stress as a chronic issue for you. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that life isn't going to happen and stress isn't going to happen, but you can't eliminate chronic stress. And one of the things that I was thinking about as your last guest was talking was that they're dealing with a chronic health issue. Mm-hmm. And so stress in that situation is inevitable, but we really have to take advantage of the moments to eliminate it for that second. Right. Because sometimes we feel like stress is something, or chronic stress is something that just happens and I'm never ever happy. That's not reality at all. Right? You're right. If you love ice cream and you just bought some ice cream for those 2 seconds where you just bought the ice cream, you loving it. Yes. You having a good time. But we have to be able to recognize that. So, we ready for the first eye?
We gotta
do. You good?
You know what? Give me a minute.
Okay.
And we're gonna roll this.
I know how this rolls. Okay.
We'll be back in 1 moment. Gotta pay a bill.
Where do you think we are?
We'll do these and then, because I got 2 more guests.
Okay, so where are we at? I'm trying to get playing.
Little things mean everything.
Can you do it in
comparison from Grasshopper? When a client
3, 4
calls,
minutes?
what do you want them to hear? Your personal voicemail?
Sorry.
Okay.
But this one can't.
Or something a little more buttoned up, courtesy of Grasshopper.
Thanks for calling Green Landscaping. To make an appointment, dial 1. For billing,
95.5, this is a touch. Speak on it.
There's no contest.
Good, how are you?
Put your best voice forward with Grasshopper, the virtual phone system for small business.
Real quick.
Try it free at grasshopper.com.
That's another question. I mean, that's a question for her on her return, but I'll definitely share it. All right, thank you. Bye-bye. That was a good one. We'll talk. All right, Battle Creek, Kalamazoo, we're back. You're tuned in to Speak On, and we're going to return our conversation on the 3 I's of eliminating chronic stress with Dr. Leatrice Brooks. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So the first I is indicate, right? Indicate or indicators. And so that's paying attention to what your indicators are that you're feeling stress. And so one of the ones that I identified was that I get neck pain when I'm feeling stressed. Or sometimes people might find themselves sleeping too much. Or they might find that they have difficulties falling asleep. You might have insomnia. You might find yourself being irritable. A lot of times we don't recognize that stress shows up physiologically, and most often it shows up in the weakest part of our bodies, right? So you might find like, oh, I have back pain. No, you didn't necessarily just sleep wrong. That might be stress. I need to check it out. So when you recognize that something is going on, pay attention to it and ask yourself more questions. You know, one of the things you asked me was, is it also related, is forgetfulness related to chronic stress? It can be, because your mind is on overload. It just literally can't hold anything else because it doesn't have any room to process anything. So yes, it can lead to forgetfulness. So just paying attention to what your physical indicators are that you're stressed, and when you see them on the scene, allow yourself some room and some space to do something about that. So the first one is indicate. The second one is identify. So identify a specific plan. So make a decision about what you're going to do for yourself, not for somebody else. Now, you can do it with someone else if this is a someone else that's not going to zap you.
Thank you.
But you can do something for yourself. Your previous guest talked about, you know, going to get her nails done, or I got a massage appointment right after this, right? Look,
nice.
Yes, nice. And it was interesting because I thought about, I'm like, man, the way that I planned out this weekend was so on point with the level of stress that I was feeling this week, because I decided last week that this Friday, meaning yesterday, I wasn't going to do anything for anybody other than me. Nothing.
Amen.
Look,
That's good.
I went on my computer and I put the out of office message in so that I don't have to respond to any emails.
Okay.
Because a lot of times I'm not in the office on Fridays, but I have meetings on Fridays. And I said, no, I'm going to. So if you look at my calendar, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., it says
It's all
me.
you. All right.
It just says me. So I was excited. I went to, I took my bike in to get a tune-up. They texted me today, was like, hey, your bike is ready. I'm like, yes, because bike riding is for me.
All right.
And then I went to the movies, and then I went to dinner. I'm like, yes.
Wonderful.
I'm do some things for me. So we have to identify, we have to have our indicators, pay attention to them, and then we have to identify a specific plan, what we're going to do, and then we also have to immerse ourselves in it and be present. So if I'm in the movies and I'm not paying attention to the movie, I'm not being rejuvenated. Right. I'm not doing anything for my stress. So I really have to be present in whatever it is that I'm doing. And so one of the things that I decided to do, I don't know how many people do this, but I was like, we going to put do not disturb on while I'm in the movies. Why? Because I don't want to hear from nothing. I don't want them buzzing on my watch about anything, right? Good. So immerse yourself in whatever it is that you're doing. Don't plan to do any work, right? Because here's what we say. Okay, well, so I'm going to go to this movie, and we already thinking about the work that we're going to do after the movie is over, which means we're not really enjoying the movie because you're mentally planning for what you're trying to do.
Indeed.
So we got to immerse ourselves in it. We got to be present in what we're doing because our minds and our bodies need time to rest.
Indeed.
They need time to rest. Yes.
And these are easy and doable.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And then paying attention to actually celebrating things. Because one of the things that I've noticed that people do, especially high achievers, is we just move on to the next thing. You know, one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And we don't pause to celebrate and really recognize our achievements and what we have accomplished. And when we do that, guess what? When you celebrate, and usually you feel good when you celebrate and stuff. And so give yourself permission to do that. because that can also eliminate stress. And then when we feel good, it releases those big word neurotransmitters
Yes.
in your brain that helps you to feel good.
Indeed.
And so then when you start to feel good and those chemicals get to rolling, then that also helps to reduce your stress. And so, yes, stress will happen, but it doesn't have to be chronic.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be chronic. And so we have to get in the pattern of paying attention to our indicators, identifying what our plan is, and then fully immersing ourselves in the plan, whatever we decide we're going to do to take care of ourselves.
Well, all right. Thank you so much for that. It was very important, very much needed, and hopefully you'll come back with more
Yes,
on
ma'am.
this. And maybe this season, I feel is that, this community, and this is the time we needed that, both personally and without and throughout our communities or whatever cohort we're in, right?
Yes.
So thank you so very much
Yes,
that we're
ma'am.
going to indicate and we're going to identify and definitely immerse again and celebrate. It's okay for us to celebrate even the small things. We have to do that. Right?
Amen.
Right.
Yes.
Real quick, how can people get in touch with you?
All right. Because I got a couple sites. So let's do this one. chosenpllc.com.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yes.
All right. Appreciate you, Dr. Brooks.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're looking forward to you coming back and sharing more nuggets. And I'll share with you offline what our caller had to say.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Keep it locked. Battle Creek, Kalamazoo. We'll be back on the other side of the break with more from our community members all the way from Battle Creek, Michigan.